right, so for today, Thursday, April 9th, we are doing chapter 11, lesson 3. And this lesson is make new three-dimensional shapes. So how can you use a combined shape to build new shapes? So this is just building on from what we learned yesterday. So how can you use different 3D shapes like our cone, cylinder, sphere, cube, and rectangular prism. So how can you use these shapes to build on each other and make new shapes? So it says draw to copy the shape. So Layla put a box on top of another box. Draw to copy the new shape she made. So you don't have to necessarily draw the two separate boxes. You can just show what that new shape in all looks like. So I can draw that rectangular prism down at the bottom, but then I can go up higher because she put a box on top. And I could leave that line off even if I wanted to and just have that L shape. But you can show the box on top also. To make it look 3D. So this is just a 2D. This is a flat picture. So to make it look 3D, we kind of just we try to extend those boxes back a little bit. And then we just want to connect those. Okay, so you can draw it like the other one is with the two separated shapes, or you could have just drawn something that looks like that. That would be the new shape that you just made. So if we look at the back example, it says step 1, build. Step 2, repeat. And then step 3, combine. So you built this one time, and then you built the same thing again. So now you have 2 cubes and 2 cylinders. So if you have 2 cubes and 2 cylinders, combine them. And circle a new shape you can make. Explain why you can't make the other shape. So if you put a cube on top of a cylinder and then another cube on top of a cylinder, would they be sitting side by side? Or could you flip them upside down but leave them stacked and make this new shape? So what they want you to notice is that you can't make this shape because if you've already stacked them and now you just want to combine these shapes, you can't take it apart. But what they did is they just moved them together and then turned it upside down to make this shape. So they want you to build and repeat. So this is going to be easier to do with having these materials in my possession. So it's wanting me to build with a rectangular prism and then put that cone on top. Okay, so if I did that again, if I made another cone on top of a rectangular prism, could I all of a sudden have 2 rectangular prisms stacked on each other and 2 cones side by side? Or could I have 2 rectangular prisms side by side and then the cones on the outer side of that? So if I flip this around, could I have combined those? Yes. So I could not have made this shape because I can't stack a rectangular prism on top of that rectangular prism if it has a cone on it. So this would be the new shape I would have made. Okay, so now they want that cone on top of a cube. So it says build and repeat. Now I can't repeat it. I don't have a whole nother set of these. I should have grabbed 2. But if I have 2 of these, can I make this where I put 2? Let's pretend this is 1. So could I put those 2 side by side? And then I don't have another cone, so you're going to have to bear with me again, but if that were a cone, would that be 2 cubes and 2 cones? Could I make that shape? Now, could I make this shape with 2 cylinders if I only had 2 cubes and 2 cones? No, I couldn't have made that, but I could have made this one. And finally, on the last one, it's hard to see because both of mine are blue, but if I have my blue cube and my blue rectangular prism, and I build and make this, okay, they're side by side. Now I can flip that around and make it tall. I could flip it this way, and I could flip it this way, but I can't remove them once I've put them together. So can I make, out of this, can I make this shape? No, because that rectangular prism would need to be coming down off of the bottom of it. They can't be stacked. So like this, cube, cube. This cube is attached to this rectangular prism, right? And then there's another cube and rectangular prism. I could have made this, not this. So that's what they want you to do on 4, 5, and 6. They want you to build, repeat, and circle which shape you could have made if you repeated this shape twice. Again, you cannot remove them once you've made that new shape. You cannot remove any of the pieces and put them somewhere different. So just like over here, it's not about having 2 cubes and 2 rectangular prisms however you want them to be. It's keeping this shape intact and making this, repeating it. So what are the new ones that you could make? Number 7, look at this shape. So these 6 cubes put together, how many double cubes are used to make this shape? So if there's 1, 2 cubes here, then you have 1, 2. That would make one of them, right? 1, 2. That would make another set. 1, 2. That would make another set. So how many of those cubes did it take to make that total shape? That would be 3. 1, 2, 3. How many total cubes are used to make that shape? So individual cubes. So at that point, you're looking at each of those. And then on the back, this is our mid-chapter checkpoint. So parents, this is something I usually have the students do on their own to check their understanding of the chapter so far. And I read the directions to them and explain what they need to do for these questions. But then I let them solve it on their own, and I usually score that. So I would love to know what they did on their own. So please, please, please let them give this a whirl. You can absolutely go over any of them that they got wrong, but mark it so that I know what has been missed. So number 1, circle the rectangular prisms. So you're going to circle any of these pictures that are rectangular prisms. You're going to circle them. You're going to draw a line under the shapes that have both flat and curved surfaces. So remember, we talked about that a couple of lessons ago. Use these 3-dimensional shapes, combine them. What new shape could you make? And which new shape, if you combined these two and repeated that, which new shape could you make? So do that on your own, parents. Let me know how they did. I will put the answer key to the rest of the packet up on Class Dojo. And if you need anything, let me know.